Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Captain Coder here with day two. Day two, we're working on SkyDriver. SkyDriver. What is SkyDriver? SkyDriver's our attempt at recreating the classic game Skyroads, which is a sequel to the game Cosmonaut. Not so well known fact. The game Cosmonaut came before Skyroads. I believe it was made by the same company, and so it's sort of like a predecessor to it. Skyroads was sort of DOS only, MS-DOS only game. Awesome game, super fun, but we're working to make essentially a I don't want to say a clone, but an homage to. We're making an homage to it. So yesterday, good morning, Moonness. Happy Tuesday. Glad you're here. Making sure you keep that number one spot claimed. No one can take it from you as long as you believe in yourself. As long as you believe in yourself, and essentially as long as you're here. As long as you're here, those points will keep accumulating. And Moon is sort of our resident Unity expert here, giving us lots and lots of hints and tips to make me better, make me grow. I don't know everything about Unity. I actually know very little about Unity. I'm pretty new to it. So very happy to have you here, Moonis. We're gonna see if my my voice holds out today. We'll see. I decided I was well enough to go on a walk with my dog yesterday, and it was cold and dry, and it messed up my throat. So I may not be able to do a full stream this morning, but we'll see. We'll see. Jackie, hey now. Good morning. Or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. It's good morning for me, but nice to see you, Jackie. Welcome back. Welcome aboard. All right, so what did we get done last time? Let's take a look. We implemented some very basic controls. So we got a ship. It can move left and right. It can accelerate. It can crash. The crash is not so graphic. We can respawn. We can fall off the edge, and that'll give us a game over. We can respawn. But we got it somewhere. Oh, and we can jump. The jump needs a little bit of, ooh, that was pretty good. Jump might need a little bit of work, but we got it working pretty well. Probably need to add a nice little background. This background is not so space. This does not look like a sky driver. This looks like a lame driver, but we'll get there. What are we working on today? Thought about it a little bit ahead of time. What I think I want to do, but now I'm looking at the scene going like, well, you know what? It'd be nice to add in a background, do some other stuff. It might make sense for us to create a to-do list in here. So I'm gonna add go ahead and add a to-do list, to-do to-do.md. But today my plan was sort of to look at implementing, sort of like making it more of a game. Right, main camera solid color. Yeah. That, at the very least, that's what I should do. Make it black instead of solid color. Black. Ooh, that's almost worse. That's almost work. We're in space. Let's see if that feels better. That's kind of creepy. Crash. All right. We almost need to add in a nice little generated space image. Maybe we could do that without too much. But let's see here. To do, add background image of space/planet. Maybe. The things I wanted to do, the thing that we're gonna try and do today, happen to be like exiting, but I want to add things that I don't want to forget here. Things that we gotta implement. So explode on crash. Fuel. We want to add in fuel/oxygen meters. A HUD, right? HUD to display information. We're gonna need a level select screen. Just to name a few things. Got to build some levels if we're gonna have a level select screen. I kind of want to make a text file to level conversion. So it'd be nice to be able to design my levels in a text file rather than having to drag and build it out specifically in Unity. Maybe I'm crazy, but that always I always like to have some sort of like really easy text representation of a level. It's really nice for me in my mind to be able to do that. It might be that there's like multiple layers. Well, we'll see. Implement exit / win condition. We also got to implement different platform abilities. For example, I want to add in a fire platform destroys player. I want to add in a sticky platform slows player, a boost platform speed up player. What do we want? We want some other stuff in here too. I think my brain's a little foggy today, so I'm moving a little bit slower than I might normally move. But that's okay. Gives us time to think. Background, explode on crash, fuel, HUD, level select. These are just a couple things. As we get further, we'll get there. As we get further, we'll get there. Okay, but today, my goals here, my primary goal, add level elements. I want to make it so you can get to like the, how do we end a level? How do we, I want a platform that if you touch it, you blow up. We want a sticky platform that decelerates you and a boost platform that accelerates you. So let's go into our sign on here. Give ourselves a sign on. See if we can get that. And then if we happen to finish that, we might explore doing the HUD. I don't know how I feel about that because I don't think it's a 3D, not a 3D, an an AI generatable HUD. I might have to go ahead and like make one, which I don't want to do. I'm a little nervous about making it. So we might still want a little bit. Rave, here we go again. Good morning, my friend. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing this morning, Rave? All right, primary goal. Add level elements. All right. That's our primary goal. We're going to see if we can do that. As always, don't forget, if you're not on the Discord yet, if you want to keep up to date, if you want to join a little coding community, don't hesitate to join. Don't hesitate to join the Discord. Fun little community we got going there. And it's a great place for people to do their sign-ons and sign-offs. If you don't have anywhere else to do it, it's a good place to hold yourself accountable. That's the whole reason I do it. It's the whole reason I do it. Rave, I'm so sorry you lost power. It seems that your power is back now. Is that true? All right. Let's go with Skybox because the solid black's scary. That's too spooky. Too spooky for me. All right, we'll go with the Skybox. But we will fix that up. Let us. All right. What did I say I was doing? Implementing an exit tunnel. Yes, I kind of want to get a tunnel in here. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. So it's going to sort of explore the 3D objects. I was wondering if I can do some kind. So let me ask, does anyone know in Unity, can I want the ship to be able to go through it. I know I can add in a cylinder, right? Somewhere in here. But I want to, let's move this to where the player is. I want the player to be able to drive through it. So we cannot cut holes in these objects. I'm gonna have to actually I'm gonna need, not necessarily fancy, I just really need it to be something the ship can drive through. So let's go look at Skyroads real quick. That's how the levels end. The levels end with the ship flying through a tunnel at the end. So we cannot, well, that's too bad that we cannot do sort of clipping. This is where, oh boy. So essentially, let's go look at it real quick. So at the end of every level in Skyroads, let's see if I can get to the end of the first level here. At the end of every level, there are tunnels. And throughout the level, so there's like a tunnel like this. All right. I could, so I want to be able to drive, like have it be something I can drive through like this. Just so you know, my keyboard's kind of crazy, so this is why I'm so bad. I'm also just bad at this game, but my keyboard layout. So at the end of the level, you drive through the tunnel, and that's how you beat it. Oh, now the game has music. Look at that. All right, so that's the thing. Is I want a tunnel I can drive through. I'd love to be able to just take this cylinder and cut a hole in it. Right, but I guess I can't do that. That's not a thing that I can do. Over on YouTube, nobody is saying you can't just take off the collider or turn the collider into a trigger. I could have this, but then it's like you're driving, you know, as a temporary, I could do that, right? But I don't think I can hang on, I need a better handle on this. All right, this should be 90. Right, so I want it to sort of, I guess I should scale it up here. Scale. Grow, my child. Maybe it needs to be 4. Right, so it needs to be like this. Oh yeah, I'm trying to make a tunnel that you can drive through. All right, so I guess I need a model of a tunnel to be able to drive through it. Yeah, so that's what I'm afraid of, is I'd have to do something in Blender. The question is, how do I do? I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Yeah, so I guess I could potentially try doing something with Blender. But maybe for now, I'm gonna make this sort of my temporary tunnel. Procedural modeling, yeah. This is gonna be my temporary tunnel, and it's gonna have no colliders. All right, my temporary tunnel. All right, well, in fact, actually, let's put the collider back. Should be a trigger, because we want to be able to detect when we've gone in them. All right, so this is gonna be my temporary temporary tunnel. That's what I'm gonna call it. So I do want to be able to go through. I didn't mean to zoom in here. So I think with it as a trigger, I can still move through it. So this is what I'm gonna do for now. Is these are gonna be my tunnels. All right. So the end of the level, the idea is I need a script that lets me to detect if I'm going through a tunnel at the end of the level. All right. So it should be sort of at the end of my level. There's a tunnel I can go through that, let's move this bad boy to the end of the level. And then we'll oof. All right, so the tunnel should come all the way to the end like that. And we can drive through it, and when you drive through it, that's the end of the game. That's how you, and not at the end of the game, it's the end of the level. So you want to drive through the tunnel at the end. That's the idea. I know I can also double click on it. But the idea is I would drive through the tunnel and that would be the end. So if I double click, you know, in the inspector, I was doing that too. It's just, how do I get to the end of the level easily? But yeah, let's scale this Z. Ooh, that's the wrong direction. I want to scale this X. No, wrong direction. There we go. Okay, so I want to make a long tunnel here. And then I guess this sort of needs to be a prefab. You want to be driving on the inside of the tunnel. Yeah. Smab, my friend. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing today, Smab? It's nice to see you here. All right, so I need to be able to drive along it. Let's go to prefabs. Obstacles. We're gonna call this our temporary tunnel. We kind of need it so that we have a long, thin platform on the inside that we can actually drive on so that we don't fall when we're in it. So let's see if we can do that too. Although I guess I should, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should really be going and finding a... All right, so we want this to be a long... See, now I'm... That's interesting. That... Why is the size so big? Is it relative to this somehow? Slap it in assets models. Oh, you sent me a link. You sent me a link. Got it. Let's download this bad boy. Thank you. Boom. Let's see what we got here. My friend the rave. Like 10 seconds bad. What is it? That's bad. That's better than anything I have currently. All right, let's come in here. 1 sec. All right, rave to the rescue. I'm excited. All right. So we're gonna hold tight. We're gonna stop with this madness. All right. We don't need no temporary tunnel. We've got a real tunnel coming from a real developer. All right. In the meantime, what do we have here? Code's not doing much. A bit of coding and a bit of Forza. That sounds like a good afternoon. It's good afternoon. Okay. What are we waiting for here? Rave. Oh my god, this workstation's so slow. I feel that sometimes. Okay. We got this here. All right, well, we're gonna add the tunnel. I know it's listed as number 1. We're gonna add it later. Instead, we're gonna add in a fire platform. So one thing I want, an idea I have, is all the platforms should be long, or not this. All the platforms should be like 1 unit wide. All right, so 2 in our game is 1 unit. All right, Rave's fixed it. Replace the old one. Yes. Give me that tunnel. Oops, wrong spot. Let's try again. Models. One thing, just a thought. One thing I want is all of my units to sort of be measured in ones. So the ship should be 1 unit wide. Right now it's 2 units wide, so I'm going to shrink the ship here. 1 more, 0.12. Well, I got this. Half it. And then if I make my platform 1 unit wide, the ship should... Oh. Player. Yeah. So the idea is my ship's 1 unit wide. All of the stuff should be 1 unit wide. I guess this needs to be like that. And then our platform sort of line up left to right. Let's get a tunnel in here. So if we had a platform that was wider, it would be moved over 1 unit. All right, so you can make longer platform this way. This is going to make it easier for me later to create my map generator. If everything's like 1 unit, everything's 1 unit. Like this, my platform. for me, makes my brain a little happier. All right, let's see this tunnel. It's a big one. Let's see if we can scale it down here. If we do it 0.12, which is what our ship is, does it scale it down to the size that we want? Essentially, it does. That's pretty cool. All right, so the Y should be at 0. Not 0, 1-ish. We'll find out. A little bit lower. All right, so we want to be able to... This is great. This is great. Thank you. Thank you for this. But yeah, we'll adjust the hole for the ship. The ship hole. Center it. Point. Thank you so much, Rave. Thank you so much for that. We greatly appreciate it. And then our scale in our Z direction would be 20. Needs to be a little bit taller. That seems... What does that look like in the game? Can I drive through this? Let's give it a shot. Thank you so much, Rave, for the tunnel. Why is my camera so... Oh, my camera now needs to... I've changed how big everything is, so my follower should be 5. Alright, let's try. -5. 2.5. Feels too far away. -1. Let's try 1. Might be pretty nice now. Our rotation. 7. 15. Alright. Alright, let's give it a shot here. Well, that's not what I want. Alright, where does my camera actually need to be? 5, 2, 3, 4. Alright, camera should actually be at 4. Game jams can be tons of fun. Tons of fun. Alright, so we can fly through it. Sweet. That looks pretty good. We can... I don't think it has a mesh on it. We're going to add a mesh to it. We should be able to jump onto it as well. So it does need a mesh. How hard is it to add a mesh to one of these things? So it would be a mesh collider, I believe. And is that all I need? I might need to hit convex on there. Sweet. It's under 256 even with the bevel. I checked to make sure. It does need to be in platforms, but I can't go through it anymore. Let's see if it's because it's not wide enough or if it's not tall enough. All right, so I can go through it. It's a big old tunnel. It's a big old tunnel. Can go on top of it as well. Gotcha. Thank you. All right, so I can go on top of it, and then if I'm on top of it, I can jump again. Okay. The sizing on the tunnel is going to need adjusted, but I love it. I love it. Because it sort of needs to be... I think I might have to do something interesting with it. It's essentially, I want it to be... It should still be essentially one unit wide, right? So it is... I bet my... I'm like fat or something going into it. So I'm guessing it's the on my ship. My floating thing is very big. Yeah. So let's shrink that down. Oh, that's because I resized my. That makes sense. I rescaled my ship. I rescaled the ship. So all of my colliders are messed up. That makes sense. All right, I was going like, why do I have to be so fat? So let's redo these. I don't know that I they will remake unless you're doing. I'm doing them custom because the boxes that were on there were like, oh, I think I understand why the boxes and the colliders looked so weird before. Okay, let's try a thing. All right, let's delete these. I have an idea. Hang on, Space Racer. Did I delete all of the colliders on the prefab? You can double click a wing and add a box collider to it. Oh, okay. Let's do this. I might just re-import the model. So we were having an issue yesterday where all the colliders were crazy on it, but it's because I rescaled it, so that makes sense. Let's try re-importing the model. Let's try re-importing the model and see if that helps. Okay, let's come in here. We are gonna go to, give me a moment. Space Racer. Oh, it's because I edited. I actually don't know if I need to re-import the model. Can I undo what I just did? Can I undo my delete? I can't. We won't need ramps, I don't think. The tunnels are sort of the only thing that in my mind that I can think of. I need like tunnels and cubes. The whole game is just tunnels and cubes. And then the ship. All right, let's get our ship re-imported here. I need to re-import the sample scene. There we go. Okay. And scale factor 0.12. All right, and I think the issue is that in my prefab, I had deleted all these things. Yeah, so they're all here. What was it you were saying that I needed to do to get them to resize? So they're like the original, they're essentially the original colliders. Well, so I've scaled the model down, but the box colliders didn't scale with the size. So I think I just sort of need to go through and top right, revert all. See, but now I have no box. There's no mesh colliders now. All of the colliders are gone. So I think I need to make a new prefab for this. Hang on, let's try creating a new prefab. Player ship. Let's import the model. Do they just not have... When I added a rigid body, is that sort of what happened? I don't understand. All right. So anyway, I guess I need to manually add in the different colliders. Is that the case? That's interesting. All right, body, mesh collider. That's okay. I'm fine with that. That makes this much easier than doing the cylinder thing I was doing. All right. So player ship, mesh collider on this, because I really only care about like that part of the ship and the wings. All right. All right. So then we'll go to the wing left. Make the convex for more performance. Okay. I guess I don't know what that necessarily means, but oh, I see. I see. Gotcha. That makes sense. We'll go to the right wing. Mesh collider, make it convex. Okay. So the idea... All right, so we're going to tag this. All right, so this one gets tagged as a ship body. And then these ones will make these wings. Ship wing. All right, there we go. So I really only care about that. Everything else, you know, I'm fine with it sort of being not collidable. All right, so let's go back to our player. Get rid of the space racer inside of it. The collider on the bottom will still need to be our floating collider, but now I should be able to add in the actual model here. All right, and let's look at our floating platform. Let's move it up a bit. The idea was like this makes it look like the ship's floating, and that's what you're sort of floating on. No convex on things with holes. That makes sense. Yes, Rave with the big brain. Thank you so much, my friend. This is my first attempt at any kind of 3D physics-based stuff. I normally shy away greatly from physics-based stuff. All right, let's see how much we broke. Whee! All right, let's see if we can still crash into stuff. We can't. That was interesting. I'm noticing... Oh, it's because I put a model in here. Hang on. It should have been our prefab. I added the model, not the prefab. There we go. All right, let's see if we can crash. Boom. Okay. Where is the RB? I'm not sure what RB is. I'm so sorry. All right, we can jump. All right, let's make this tunnel a little smaller. Let's see if we can get away with the tunnel being smaller here. Oh, yeah, sorry. Rigid body, that makes sense. I just didn't import it. Or I added the... All right, let's get rid of this so I don't get too confused. Thank you, everyone, so much for helping with that. So much appreciated. I really thank you so much. That would have taken me forever to figure out on my own. So much appreciate. This tunnel's great. I don't know. I keep zooming out and then scrolling in. One thing on it, well, the thickness is probably fine. The one thing, it needs to be, it's so thick. Maybe the ship needs to be smaller, so that I think that might be what I want. Actually, is the ship needing to be smaller. Because I want it to take up. All right, let's go look at Skyroads one more time. Somewhere on here. Where's my web browser? Hello? There you are. I keep closing it because of the sound. All right, so the tunnels, let's look at this game here. Just to get the perspective right, I think I need to like zoom out a bit and think about it. Start. Let's go look here again. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3. Sort of seems like 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like 8 wide, right? So the game's sort of 8 wide. The ship is quite a bit smaller than each panel, so I got to shrink the ship more to make it work. Yeah. So I got to shrink the ship some more to make it work. Let's shrink the ship some more. All right, how do I get the sound to stop playing? No sound. Controls. Music volume down. All right. Otherwise, I love the music. Otherwise, I want to be able to keep it on in the background though. Okay, so the ship. All right, we got to resize the ship once again. Or make everything bigger, but I want everything, the ship. All right. What I can do, I think actually, is scale this down now rather than the model anymore. I can scale this down in here just to make it say, okay, well, I want this to be smaller. Let's go with half the size. And then, good morning. It is, look, good morning. Looks like Skyroads. It is Skyroads. No, it's Sky Driver. It's Sky Driver. It's even worse. The Sky Driver's here. All right, so now our tunnel doesn't have to be so massive. Let's see if we can get it down. 0.5. Can we drive through that? I think it needs to be just a, let's 0.75. The thing is, I want this to line up nicely. Let's change the color of our platforms real quick, just so we can see each strip. So we can see each strip and how our ship relates to them. Materials, we'll add a couple more materials. Or just one more, then we can sort of alternate. We'll make a green material. All right, we can alternate the material that's on each one, just so we can see. I want to be able to see sort of the size of each strip relative to the ship and whatnot. So the ship's, I think, a good size for the strips. All right. If the tunnel, we want the tunnel to line up with those. So at 0.5 seems about right. And let's move it down. I might need to stretch. Yeah, 0.5 is right. We'll make it a little taller. And then set it sort of on there. What does that look like? Can I drive through it still? I think I should be able to drive through it still. Something's blocking me. My floating platform didn't scale with me. Once again, my floating platform ruining everything. All right, I got to put this on. All right, hang on. On my player, this should really be on my player prefab. Floating. Seems. I want it to be closer. All right, let's see what that looks like. All right, nothing's working now. I can't jump at least. I think I've messed up the jump movement. I think I'm just stuck in the ground because I'm starting too high. There we go. I can jump through it that way though. That's funny. Okay, yeah, so I end up bopping through stuff when I'm falling physics-wise. Which is interesting. Cylinder collider is probably bigger. All right, so we can go through tunnels. All right, that's perfect. That's perfect. Can crash. Well, that was interesting. I think it was up in the air. Feel the gameplay with it being small like this, the like jump and stuff feels really, really nice, and the speed seems to feel nicer this size too. So what was happening is my box here was going through the platform, and it was stuck underneath the platform somehow, because I guess the physics of me falling pushed me through it, which is something that I don't know how to resolve, but I suppose there's something I can do where it says, all right, the players, we'll have to figure out something there. So this is why physics-based games scare me, because it's like now I have no control over exactly how the physics works. I'm relying on some other physics engine to do things for me. So like distance instead of a collider might actually be the way to do it. Now I feel, all right, so my camera, I want it to be, let's add 2 more strips on either side. All right, so we're gonna call this one's center, right, left, right, left. Hang on, that's on the right. All right, so we're gonna add 2 more platforms. This one will be -3. Let's make it green for now. And then we'll add in another platform here. 3, we'll make it green as well. Could even slap a serialized animation curve on it to do the bounce back. Yeah. Well, I got to be careful. All right, so keep in mind, simple is good. I don't want to get too fancy because I need to have a project that's simple for my students, right? So we want to make sure we don't get too fancy with it. Yeah, so I went crazy with the RPG game, like way too crazy. Let's go with 1.5. Try distance of 3, 2. All right. Now our perspective feels better. I think I need to be back just a little bit more. All right. So, because if so this should be 3, 2. All right. When I come over here, I flew off the screen. I want to still be able to see I jumped into the ground there. That was frustrating. Player. There we go. I still need to be able to see my ship over here. So I need to have my camera be a little bit further back. So camera. I think do I want the field of view to be wider? Maybe that's what I want. I'm not sure if I want my field of view or my distance to be wider. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I want 9 wide. Do I want 9 or 7? Does 7 seem good enough is the question. Now my ship moves too fast left and right. The jump is a little bit too strong. think I want 9 wide. So I'm gonna need to go back even a little bit more. Or my camera can be further back, right? So I can do a distance of 3. Let's take a look at what Skyroads looks like. Let's take a little look. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 7 is how much they have. 7 is good. 7 is good. 7 is good. So we're gonna go with 7 as well. And let's do a little bit of both. We'll have the camera be at 70, but our player, the camera be at 7 and our distance be at 2.25. I think that might be a little bit. So it's like it's right in the middle of both. All right. So 70 for field of view, 2.25 for our distance. 70. And these nice little, what did I, oh, I had moved the distance down on the camera as well. Camera, I can put it at position 1. One 1.25. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to figure out that as well. What did I change? What was different? $2.5. All right, we'll go with 2.5. Our cat, is this Minecraft? One could only hope. One could only hope that it was Minecraft. No, this is a project I'm putting together. It's going to be a space. It's called Skydriver. It's a clone of a game called Skyroads. All right, so it's like an action platformer, somewhat racing game, action platformer game. Yeah, but welcome aboard, our cat. Happy Sunday, my friend. This is my first attempt at any kind of 3D physics based game. So we are learning. We are learning as we go. All right. So I think this floating platform is not a great idea because we keep getting stuck on random things, right? When our ship should be colliding with stuff, we're accidentally getting stuck or randomizing stuff. So I think maybe Rave, your idea of making it use sort of some kind of raycast. Well, it needs to be smaller this way for sure. So really it's just there to make us hover, right? So it should be really, really small. In the ship is fine. I just keep getting stuck. Things keep getting stuck on it. All right, let's give it a shot. I'm getting trapped in things. So here's the thing. I want it to make it look like the ship is hovering over the ground, right? So it needs to be coming out of the ship. So the whole point of having this drop up the top. I really don't understand what you're suggesting. Because I want the ship to hover like this far off the ground, right? Okay. I see. So you're just suggesting moving the top into the other one. All right. We got to jump. The player's jump is way too strong now with the new size. Our steering speed is too strong as well. All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep checking here. The jump height's not strong enough. What's interesting is our collision code. We'll take a look here real quick. We got some bugginess going on. Okay. Try 7. So we shouldn't, if I jump into this, I should just stop. It does. Okay. Why didn't it do that with our... Oh, it did kind of do that. All right. There is just like weird little buggy things with... We shouldn't... Okay. Okay, so I think one thing we should ignore friction. I think something I want to do. I know, welcome to NVIDIA physics. Graphics, 3D physics. This is why I don't make games that use physics, because it's so awkward to get it to work the way you want it to work. Because in a lot of ways, you gotta learn it. You gotta learn it. But yeah, 3D physics, for the most... In general, physics I tend to quote unquote fake, so I have control over it and I can understand. Gotcha, Moonness. I think what I want to do is we need to sort of have a tag here for these platforms. And so what I'm doing right now, there's like a little weird bug that's kind of hard to make happen. All right. But we have this script here that sort of says, let me close that down there. If our body collides with something, the speed goes to 0. The max speed comes down. Really, I want a thing that says, well, don't care about colliding with... Excuse me. I don't care about colliding with the platforms. I don't care about colliding with the platforms. I care about colliding with the tunnels and other things. So part of me thinks I should tag all of these with sort of like, these are floors. You don't collide with these. All right, so part of me wants to add a tag that says no collision. Collision. Is that how we spell collision? Yeah. All right, so if you're tagged with no collision, then these won't trigger. So if on no collision here, so we have our collision. All right, we're gonna say if other dot or contact, that's what it would be. Well, really, I think other dot game object dot compared tags no collision. We do nothing, so we don't care about collision with that. And then I actually don't have to care so much about this body collision check. And it says essentially if I collide with stuff that I want to check against, I should do this body collision check. So I no longer care if it was my ship body. I think this will give me the same effect that I want. Let me see if I can move my cube down now, though. My cube is too high up. Let's move you down. Jolt physics. So something that's interesting here. I'm like stuck inside this tunnel. There's like weird things I'm gonna have to figure out here with regards to being in tunnels. I do want to be able to crash into a tunnel, but once I'm in a tunnel, it's like I don't want to stop my motion. That works. Oh, I do see, like, there's some interesting things I need to figure out as far as stopping. Yeah, so there's something I need to do in the tunnel. When you're in the tunnel, it's like we just keep going. I like that. I like that. So if we're inside of the tunnel, we need to force you to the center of the tunnel so you keep moving in the tunnel. I like that. Lock steering and jumping. That's a good idea. I do like that. So there's sort of like... I still want to be able to jump on top of the tunnel. So I still want to be able to jump onto it. If I mark it as no collision. But I do think you're right that we want to sort of put us in the middle of it as well. Okay. Okay, so how do we make it so... Or have no physics material on the tunnel? I don't understand what that means, Rave. Yeah. So I think by marking it as no collision, it solves that issue. But if I collide directly into the front of it, I still kind of want to crash. I think I can get stuck in weird ways. Yeah, so I can like kind of get stuck here. Every collider can have a physics material. A separate material that tells engine how to handle collision. I think maybe I want to turn the sort of... I have no idea. So this is... I'm brand new to this. I'm brand new to this. I think on my player ship prefab, I actually want to drop the wings a little bit. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think I did drop the collision on the wings. It's a little tricky because now we can sort of move into, you know, so we sort of have this thing where we can like kind of move, and it's not that bad though. That feels pretty good actually. Alright, so I want to make it... I know, I thought it was going to be way more noticeable. It's not. It's not noticeable at all, so... Or not very noticeable. Let me say it's not very noticeable. Alright, let's make it so when you're in a tunnel, it forces you to the center and doesn't allow jumping, I think is what we were going to do. Alright, so I'm going to make my tunnel... yeah, so I'm going to make this a prefab. Okay. Why is it saying that it's already a prefab. That's... Would you like to create a new prefab? Let's create a new prefab. I don't know. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to make it so that our cylinder has... Ooh, make a tapered cylinder. I was essentially just going to put a big... Not a big, but put a collider all the way through it then, so have it... And make it a trigger where as long as you're in that trigger, it centers you. So I was going to do the following. I was going to create a... empty. All right, this is going to be our centered tunnel collider. Oh, you're going to add it to the player ship? And we're going to add in a box collider. All right. And the box collider is essentially going to be... Well, so the tunnel, you should still be able to stop in it. Like this. So I do want to add sort of a tile that will accelerate you. All right, I think this is what I want. So all right. And this is a trigger. This is a trigger. Rave, stoke the fires of feature creep. Stoke them harder. Stoke them harder. So this is our center tunnel collider. And eventually I'm going to add one at the end. So at the end is what's going to detect whether or not you've reached the end. But this collider, I guess I got to tag it as... tagging is nice. So a tunnel. Well, then we got magic strings. Hang on. We're going to add just like a marker script. All right, so we're going to create a script that acts kind of like a tag. It's going to be a tunnel controller. And we're going to add that here. Tunnel controller. All right, and then this one. All right, let's see if we can get this to work. Edit the script. Moon is many levels required to take a tunnel because that's the only path. Then you usually have different platform colors that change the physics of the ship. Yeah, so the game itself, like the there's different platforms that change the physics of the game. The tunnels, for the most part. Anyway, yes. Our tunnel is going to be on trigger day. All right, so the idea is if we're staying here, we're going to check to see if it's a player ship, other dot, and then we also want a private, or on trigger exit. All right. So we're going to have sort of like this thing that says we're in a tunnel, we're not in a tunnel. So other dot get component, if this is a player ship controller. Exactly, Mooniz. It's for the most part forces the player into a situation to make the navigation harder. If player not equal to null, we'll add a thing here. And then when we exit, when player dot, all right, we got to add into our player controller. There's going to be a property here that we can set outside. Yeah, I need to add that in. I do need to add that in. There is like a minor little bounce when you jump. So when you jump, there's like, I would like to add that. We'll get there though. Again, trying to keep it simple. Trying to keep it simple. Good question. Public bool is in is oh, I want a word for like is locked, right? Is motion locked. All right, so when you're gonna tell me you'll be motion locked. Yeah, so when you're jumping here, you have that like bounce, and you move kind of faster when you're in the air or something. So it like bounces you into holes. Adding a little bounce in there will be an interesting challenge, I think. All right, so is motion locked. So we should be able to set the is motion locked from other places. So by default, it's false. But our tunnel controller, if we're in a tunnel, is motion locked is true. All right. And so in addition to doing that, so player.is motion locked is false. The idea is motion locked. If we are motion locked, we can't jump. So if we're not jumping or is motion locked, we don't jump. And our steering here, where is our steering? Here we're gonna say if is motion locked, return. So we can't steer if we're motion locked. Additionally, the tunnel, it needs to sort of force us to the center of the tunnel. So we want to get the player dot transform dot position dot x is equal to game object dot transform. Well, we're not going to be able to do that. We have to do position like this. Let's pull each one out. New vector 3 x y z float x equals float y equals player dot transform dot position dot y. Okay, so hopefully game object dot transform dot position. All right, so this should hopefully lock us to the center. And we won't be able to move left or right. The normal way I'm doing it is to save the position to a variable, set the axis I want, then transform. Can we modify this? Oh, that's okay. So you do a vector 3 position is this. And then now we can do position dot x equals gotcha. It's because it's a struct, so you can't modify it directly as the getter setter part of it. This seems fine. All right. I like that. Cool. Thanks for the tip, Moonness. Okay, so now let's see if we actually get locked in there. We can still accelerate and decelerate, but we shouldn't be able to. All right, so I can miss the tunnel. But when I'm in there, well, I was definitely able to jump there. Oh, I think an issue, it's related to the trigger. All right, so I bet this code's not running. Log triggered. I bet this is not going off. Let's make sure, yeah, our tunnel has that. Our tunnel has a trigger, but I don't think we're clearly not hitting the trigger. Let's see. It is. I can decelerate. Hang on. Let's look at my player. It is letting me jump. This is fascinating. Daniel, my friend, happy Tuesday. Hi, how are you doing? And if you want the transform of the current object, you don't have to go through game object to transform. I can just do game object. That's true. That's true. Hot tub Lyme disease. Welcome aboard, my friend. I'm the first Unity dev seen using a debug.log. What do other people do? What do other people do? I also use the debugger from time to time. That's funny. They asked the chat. That's funny. I don't know what I would do otherwise. I guess debug.log is how I get things to show up out here so I can find it. Fascinating. Let chat do it is kind of the way though. So far that feels sort of like what I'm doing is chat is solving all my problems for me. Well, so motion locked is freezing it, right? So motion locked is freezing the player so that they can't move. Oh, I see. I understand. I was just, yeah, probably don't need to do, this should probably be like on trigger enter. And then on stay, we just make sure it's true. And on trigger exit. I'm just surprised we're not ending up in here. So my player ship controller is a player. Yeah, so something interesting is going on here where I don't quite understand. And I might actually open up the debugger here. Chat is just training Smab. Chat gets practice testing Chat GPT. You need to do other.rigid body. Okay. .get components. Interesting. It'll be on the child. Okay. All right. Let's give that. That makes sense. That makes sense because otherwise, attached rigid body. Yes, Mooniz. Thank you. Thank you. You're right because my colliders are on subclass, sub-objects. That makes sense. Thank you very much. I need to get it other.attached rigid body. It's gonna let me get the rigid body of the that is causing this trigger. That makes sense. So this will probably, well, we'll see. I always say this will probably work, but it doesn't always work. But this feels, you know, the logic here makes sense. Yeah, now I can't jump. I can't move left and right. I can accelerate though. So once I'm in the tunnel, and then I'm out of the tunnel. So same thing here though. Attached rigid body like that. There we go. Is motion locked. So what I can do though, so I believe what I can do is make it so that public void, let's do on trigger enter. All right, so I don't need to do this each time. This is awesome. Yeah, this is super, super helpful. Thank you so much, Mooniz. Mooniz deserves lots of points here in a moment. Give Mooniz lots of points. Rave's been helping quite a bit too. So we're gonna give out some points once we get this tunnel working. All right, and hang on. If it is a player, we're motion locked, we set these things, and then this one here we just set. There we go. That only works if you have the script and rigid body on the same game object. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's give it a shot here. Gonna have to take a break here in a moment, get myself a little bit. I'm out of tea and my throat is getting a little dry. All right, let's see if we can. So we fly through the tunnel, we come out the other end. Woo! Crash. All right. That was interesting. So there's a little thing. You can remove position Y and Z on your trigger for performance. Oh, that makes sense. Since it's the only thing I'm modifying, because I stole it here. Thank you. I don't know how much performance we're gonna gain there, but you're correct. Really, I don't need them at all because I'm not modifying them. So I modify that position. Thank you, though. All right, we got our tunnel. I'll get a couple cycles. I know. Well, I was gonna say maybe the CPU is smart enough to actually filter it out. Hang on, let's come back. Respawn. Here's something that's interesting. When I come out, I clicked jump and I'm not jumping anymore. It jumps when I get out because the jump doesn't get cleared until it's actually gone and jumped. So there's a minor little bug there with that, in that we set jump to false after we jump. Which is interesting. So it's sort of like after we've done all of our checks, we don't actually do a jump here. We still want to set jumping to false here, which is interesting. Your OCD's killing me with the cockpit material. Yeah. You can solve this by, well, the problem isn't about the jumping. Oh, I see what you're saying. Wouldn't it still apply force? Okay, so you're suggesting then you would jump, but Y would never change. I still like this idea of the motion lock. Boolean, because the logic of that is makes sense to me. But what I could do is, rather than doing motion locked here, maybe the motion lock makes sense to me, because I want to use it in a couple different places. But one thing that we might do, all right, so one thing that we could do, biotest. Hey, hello there, how we doing, my friend? One thing we could do, though, is with motion lock, we could actually set it here. Right? So... ooh, that would be the other option, too. But yeah, I like this as a getter-setter. So what we could do is, what you're saying is, well, when I set motion locked, it actually sets the rigid body, so the X and Y can't change. But down here in our jump, we could also do and is not motion locked, right? So that's definitely, programming's so interesting because there's lots of different ways. There's not one way, you know. There's this level of creativity, and you get this. One of the things I love about programming. There is a lot of creativity involved. There's a lot of creativity involved, and so the question is like, there's a lot of good ways to do something too. All right, so now when I come in here, I can't jump, and it doesn't trigger until I come out. Woo! Oh, apparently I'm colliding with this. All right, so this is, all right, I've done something dumb. I want it only when I collide on the front side of my thing to slow down and to crash. And okay, so I thought I was being clever. I thought I was being clever here. No collision. But in fact, this is messed up. This should be, we gotta revert this. Okay. All right. My ship was stopping when the body was touching. We do need friction on this side of things to slow it down. But it shouldn't just stop immediately, right? So the friction should be... So right now it just stops immediately if we touch something. I'm kind of thinking like if our bodies stay, you know, on collision, it decelerates us very quickly, but not completely. So on the collision here on body collision, I kind of want to make it sort of decelerates us. It doesn't set it to 0, but it decelerates us very quickly. So it brings our speed down very, very fast. So on body collision, right now it's sort of okay. But I kind of want to make it so it brings it down fast. This is happening on stay, right? So it's going to keep doing it. And so the idea... Yeah, exactly. Little things to think about and try and add here. We could half the speed. And then sort of, if it's within a close enough amount, we sort of stop. Kind of, let's see what this looks like. Because this should stop us pretty quickly. All right. We're going to keep this, just do a full stop on it for us for now. That's funny. We done. We got it. First try. All right. What I really want to do though is make it so that way on our tunnel we can have an exit tunnel, so that way when we reach the end, it's sort of the game. You know, it decides. All right. So we're doing all right. The ending tunnel, I want to make it so we can have a tunnel that's sort of the end tunnel, which is going to be a on exit, the, you know, you trigger that the game has won. So we kind of need a variant. I would consider removing the speed equals 0 and use physics materials, and then add a small box collider on the front for full stop like you have on the body now. Okay, so I have to add a physics material then. Use a physics material and then add a small box collider on the front of the ship for a full stop like you have now. Okay, so maybe I could do that. I like that idea to be like, so it's only if the nose touches, right? So rather than body collision, this will be like on nose collision. So on nose collision, right? We're checking that it is a ship body, and we'll change this to ship nose. All right, and so we're gonna add a small little collider on the front of our ship. All right, so we'll add a small little collider on the front of our ship. Add, not add, put a new empty nose collider. Box collider. Too big. Make you nice and small. And we will shimmy you out that way. And we will make you a, what did I call it? Ship nose. Ship nose. Okay. So that, I think that's a really good idea. So that when we move into things on the side of them, it's sort of like we have a physics applied to us. So what's happening is that our acceleration, we need to do something to make it so that our speed gets reduced, right? So we should still boop into things. I think I might be stuck. We can still boop into things. We can still crash. Yeah, that's the thing, is the ship's speed needs to be sort of consistent. And so I need to apply something to that. Because I want the speed to have a consistent speed. You don't have to hold down the drive button to keep your, you know, the accelerator. So the speed needs to change when we're getting friction applied to us. Because otherwise it's like we have to keep holding the accelerator down. So it's not quite that you know, like a traditional racing game in which you, if you stop accelerating, your car will slow down. In this one, it's sort of like, but we should be able to apply like the friction to it somehow. Exactly. We'll get the friction on the collision on our ship, and we can use that to reduce the speed. So if it's on the ship body, all right, so now we have sort of ship body. We can sort of say, okay, well, how much friction is there? So debug.log other dot relative velocity, the relative linear velocity of the two colliding objects. This, we could probably use this to figure it out. Let's see what this looks like. And we could also look, we could also do a thing here where we say, you know, unity get friction from collision. Let's see what people say. Physics material. So we probably actually do need to apply a physics material, right? Like what you've been saying this whole time. And then we can use the physics material to ask more interesting questions. Dynamic friction, static friction. The friction used when already moving. Oh, that's interesting. Contact dot normal, the normal contact. No, it doesn't look like, it looks like it's just a point. The relative velocity is probably somehow useful. Other collider.material.friction. Okay. Something like that. It's the friction set on the material. Bounciness. Static friction. The friction coefficient used when an object is lying on a surface. Dynamic. So we might be able to use it this way. Let me put that other thing back in. Static friction is a float. Relative velocity is a float. Oh, it's a vector. I think friction's the way to do it. Let's look at what friction says. Well, that's not even firing. .6. All right, so I suppose I could decrease the speed by that amount on that friction. Surprisingly, there was a thing there. I got 0.6. I was just surprised that I didn't get any on this, but there may be no physics material on this one. It is interesting that it completely stops me if I'm driving into the side of this. So I almost need to do something where I don't necessarily drive, you know, detect that immediately. But this one has a friction on it somehow. So the cube has friction. All right, physics. So I don't know how to do that. All right. Material. Okay. Okay. Fine. Create material. So it's not this one. Physics material. There it is. All right. We're gonna call this a tunnel. Or we're just gonna call this tunnel or friction. Let me think here. Well, what's a good name for this? It's a material. I'm gonna put on the cubes. Anything in the scene that applies friction to us. Friction material. It's not going just on the tunnel. That's the thing. All right. So then remove the static friction. All right. And then on my tunnel, then you drag it onto one of the collider components where it says material. Okay. I see. Physics material. Perfect. And then in our cube, give it a friction material. Okay. All right. I'm learning a thing. Now I would probably want dynamic friction here. Okay. Still not detecting it on this one, which is interesting. So I'm curious. It's more likely that my my collider's just not hitting. Yeah, exactly. It's more likely that my ground collider is just too thick. All right, my floating collider. All right, let's send this out. Like that. Like that. So we'll try that. No, there's no. That's so fascinating to me. That's interesting. What does stable it? Yeah, so even with it disabled, I'm still not getting it. Let's see here. We're gonna come in. It's not getting here, so it's not finding the ship body. It works on the other one. Oh, is the tunnel set to no collision? Hang on. The tunnel's set to no collision. Oh, with my locking now, that's not a problem. It's because I didn't want my ship to blow up on the inside of the tunnel. There we go. All right, so 0.6. Something that's interesting when I'm moving to the left. All right, something that's interesting is when I'm moving to the left, I'm like, the physics of it's causing me to stop completely, right? So the physics of it's causing me to stop completely. Should I? Well, what's the point of having it at all? All right, so let's add on to our prefab here. And the body. All right, we will add in another one of these. This one's going to be, which one? Ship material. Okay, and so our body will add in the thing there. So we're setting this to 0 is what you're suggesting? So I'm stopping because my ship is actually like forcing itself inside of it, is I believe what's actually happening. Well, so it's because of the way my controls work. It's like forcing my ship inside of it. So when I'm moving left and right, it's setting my velocity that direction. So what I was saying is, well, I need to make it so that if I'm next to something, I shouldn't move into that. So my left and right controls, my steering controls, it just sets it to that value. And then during fixed update, it sets my speed. Yeah, so it sets my velocity that direction. So I'm like inside, it's like, oh, well, I'm forcing it in there. So of course it's not gonna work. Yeah, so should I be using force for moving left and right? I want it to be super responsive. If I use force, when I let go, my ship will keep drifting that way. I want it to be super responsive, tight. If I press the button, it goes. If I let go of the button, I stop. So I sort of need to like implement. Well, that's only on nose. So on nose, it sets it to 0. So if my nose touches something, I set to 0 or I explode. So I can't explode when I'm coming from the left or right. So what I could do, I think, yeah, so it's like I want my velocity to be set here. Yeah, so I'm going left and right. It's doing something with my velocity here. I got to take a break here in a minute. And maybe come back to it. Physics is hard, man. I don't know why anyone would want to subject themselves to this. In my mind, we're like, man, I should have just written my own. The whole purpose of this project is to explore physics, but if I was actually making a clone of this game, if I was actually making a clone of this game for my own, I wouldn't use their physics engine. I'd implement my own fake physics, so that way I could understand everything. But the whole point is to explore physics in this for my students. Be like, here's sort of how the physics system kind of works and add force. So jumping adds a force, right? Moving left, moving right doesn't add a force. It sets the velocity. But if I was having it add a force, it might actually work a little bit better. But part of me is thinking that if I'm trying to move left, I sort of just need to check whether or not something's there. If something's there, I shouldn't apply the velocity. Right? If I raycast to my left and there's something directly to my left or directly to my right, I should just, instead, I shouldn't try and move my velocity can't be going into that thing. So I think I just need to have a little check for for going left and going right. My steering speed, I shouldn't be able to drive if I shouldn't be able to go left if something's there. And if I'm trying to go left and something's there, then I get a little bit of drag. My speed comes down. Again, this is me like doing my fake physics to make it feel nice. I don't care that much about real physics, except that we're using like velocity and stuff. So it's like, sort of comes to a question of like, am I not using physics now? I think some of me is using physics in the fixed update. Add force.impulse. Let's try that. Let's see. Well, but it's gonna keep applying it as long as I'm holding it. Is it not gonna keep applying it? What does impulse do? It sets their speed to that exact amount. Well, I don't know. Okay. All right, let's try it. In our update velocities, we are gonna get rid of steering velocity. See, we're setting the velocity here, so instead I need to get the rigid body dot velocity dot x. Okay. And I should apply. So you're saying I should do it this way. And I'm hoping this works well. Add force. Add force. Vector 3.right. And this is great because I'm steering speed times steer direction. Force mode dot impulse. No, so now when I tap it, it goes all the way off. So if I just tap my left, it shoots my ship all the way off because it applies that force and it keeps applying that force. All right, so on the rigid body, I change it to is kinematic. Set the drag. All right, so I set the drag. I turn this up. Thumbert Games, happy Tuesday, my friend. What do I set the drag to? So maybe some combination. We've made some progress, yeah. We fall a lot slower now for some reason. So this is like, it breaks how I want my speed to work. It breaks how I want my speed to work in my mind. Daniel, welcome back, my friend. Thumbert Games, we have made some progress. We have made some progress. So we could keep doing this. I know, I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I'm gonna not use Unity physics on anything personal ever again. Because it keeps, so here's the thing, if I hold it down, it keeps getting faster and faster and faster. Here's the thing. I want my steering speed to work in the following way. This is not how my steering speed is supposed to work. My steering speed says when I hold down the button, yeah, I know. When I hold down this button, my ship moves at 5 units per second. That is what that is how I've defined steering speed. I've defined steering speed to be when I press the button, I move, right? So maybe I'm just being, you're right, Smab. It's once I understand the physics, it should make more sense. I really don't know what it is. So part of me is saying like, well, I don't want to use the Force. I don't want to use the Force. I'm not a Jedi. I can't use the Force. I would like to be able to say, well, my velocity should be... Well, I think reading would be the thing to do. Well, so here's the thing. When I move, so I want my velocity to work a specific way. All right. Velocity change. Okay. Let's look at the documentation. We're gonna read a little bit here. Enjoy your bleach, Daniel. Okay. Let's read here. Force mode to specify how to apply force using add force. The add force function impacts how your game object moves by allowing you to define your own force vector, as well as choosing how to apply this force to the game object. The game object must have a rigid body component attached. Remember, reading Bleach is fine, just don't drink it. Yes. Force mode allows you to choose from 4 different effect types: acceleration, force, impulse, velocity, change. Add an instant velocity change to the rigid body, ignoring its mass. So it adds a instant velocity change. Okay. So yeah, it adds an instant velocity change. So it's gonna apply that exact velocity to it, right? So here's what I'm saying though, Rave. As soon as I let go, I want my ship to stop. I don't want physics to mandate how my ship stops moving from left to right. So if I'm using, so I really want my ship's left and right velocity be based directly on whether or not I'm pressing left or right. I don't want it to apply any sort of force when I press left or right. I just want my ship to move that way at that speed. So like my definition of how I want my steering to work is not physics based. My definition of how my steering works is not physics based. Because it's not part of reality, right? Same with my acceleration. It says when I press my forward button and I let go, I maintain that velocity forever until something causes me to stop. So it's not quite the same. So there's like no friction. There's no friction. So I think I really do think the way I've defined how I want my ship to work is not actually quite physics based. Yeah, exactly. So the physics I want, the jump I'm using for the physics. So the question is, should I abandon this idea? All right. So in my mind, I was fighting the idea of using physics. So the question is, should I abandon that and switch to a pure physics-based implementation? Because clearly, if we look at Skyroads, it is not a real physics. It's not physics based. It really isn't. There's like some fake physics put in there, right? So the question sort of becomes, so now I have to ask this question: do I want? You intend to bend physics to your will? He's a god. Yes, exactly. So I'm making a Skyroads clone here. That's exactly how I feel, Thumbert. That's exactly how I felt. So the question So my original thought here is, all right. So one of my goals here was to teach my students a little bit about physics in Unity. That is sort of one of my goals here. Teach a little bit about physics in Unity. So the question is, am I doing them a disservice by faking the physics? If so, I should probably use a different game or go straight with like using Unity physics. That's really so the question. That's the question I need to ask myself. Do I want to use Unity physics and really focus the project on that? In which case, I have to learn a ton more about the Unity physics. So that's really the question, right? Do I change my approach? Do I change the game? In which case, maybe I shouldn't be using this particular game as my, the thing I'm copying, or make it a true physics-based version of this game. So I think I need to change my approach. I think I wish the USMAB is that I want to change my approach to be more based on a true Unity physics, because that's the goal I have. And in which case, maybe I want to change my game to like a pool game, right? So a pool game might be more in line with what I'm thinking, because you're going to be adding a force to it in that regard, right? So part of me is thinking, well, maybe this just isn't the right game to teach students about physics in Unity, because it's not a physics-based game. And I think physics will make this game like really, really awkward and hard. It'll be a much more frustrating game. If I was making a true racing game, maybe physics would work. But, so in my mind, I gotta think, do I want to make this a true physics game? Do I want to, rolling ball adventure? Yeah, exactly, Munez. So I need to think about that. So another game I might want to do, or another idea that I'm having at this moment, is Marble Madness. Except make it a true physics-based version of Marble Madness, right? So Marble Madness might be the game that we want to actually implement, where you have some character, when you press a button, it starts applying that physics in one dish. No, we're going to make it a real physics Marble Madness. That's the thing, G. We'll make it a real physics Marble Madness. This is clearly not a real physics Marble Madness. And so, part of me thinks maybe this is the way to go. Angry Birds would be fun. I wanted to do something 3D. So we've done, in the class, we're doing like a game that's strictly based on canvas stuff. Then we're going to do a 2D space shooter. And then so the 2D space shooter has no physics, but it deals with rigid bodies and collisions and stuff. And then this one was supposed to have, deal with physics. So I think I've just I've chosen the wrong project for physics. Or I'm implementing it poorly, is what it is. So I think I do need to change my approach, and I need to really stop and think about it a bit more, right? On how I want the game to work. How do I want acceleration to work? And I think I can make it similar to Skyroads. I think I can still do Skyroads, but physics, I just need to focus on, okay, we are applying physics to it, not setting our own custom velocities, jump stuff. So I need to always be doing add force. So if you're pressing the accelerator, it's accelerating. If you're not pressing the accelerator, the friction's being applied to you. And that's not how I've been thinking about it. So I think I truly need to stop here, roll back my thought process, and focus myself into, if I want to make it a space game, really, really focus it into using the physics-based stuff here, rather than setting the velocity. So all of my definitions have been based off of not physics, aside from jump. Jump is the only thing that uses real physics, the quote-unquote real physics, right? Jump is the only thing that's using the physics engine, and that's not that's not enough for a game where I want to be like focus on the physics. Okay. Oh, so this is a good realization to have this early, day 2, right? It's a good realization to have on day 2. So the question is, what do I want to do? What do I want to do at this point? I don't know. I might have to at the yeah, Moon is. So I think I just need to rethink what I'm doing here. That said, I think I'm, before we continue here, I think I'm going to take a break. I've been streaming 2 hours, almost 2 hours here. Yeah. So I think we're gonna start over a little bit here. We have a lot of stuff going on. I think we're gonna start over. Exactly, Smab. We need to start over. We need to just explore physics and read about it and understand that, so that we can actually teach it. Because I don't know enough about it. I honestly don't know enough about it to even try and teach it. And so I need to stop this project and really pause and think about that. But we're gonna take a break. I need to get some tea here, and then we're gonna read about physics and see how things go. All right, I will be back. All right, we are back. We have some tea to help our throat. We're going to do a quick stretch here. I'm gonna stretch real quick. If you've been sitting, I'm gonna encourage you to stand up, get some blood flowing, stretch some things out, get your body a little bit happier. But we're gonna do a little stretching here, and then we're gonna hop back in. All right. But I'm gonna do some calf stretch. So I'm gonna do some calf stretch here, get my legs nice and limbered up, and we're gonna read a little bit about physics here. And I think I'm gonna the rest of today, at least for today, I think we're gonna use this game. It's just not calling it necessarily a clone of Skyroads. Instead, it's a game inspired by Skyroads that uses uses a physics engine to handle it. So we're going to try using adding forces and applying physics materials to stuff, but we're going to read about it. Ooh, egg sandwich. That sounds delicious. That makes me hungry. I mean, we're going to go for another hour here. All right. Sky roads without tunnels. Yeah, so part of me is thinking, well, maybe we'll use. So like I do like the way the jump works. So it's like sort of a fake physics. I need to decide whether or not I actually want to teach the physics in my class. I don't think I'm qualified to do it. Is part of it. At this point, so I'd have to learn a lot about it, which would be a good thing. It'd be good for me to learn. But this specific game is fake physics. I'd have to make a different game or a different application. I think that like a good one for physics would be a pool game. I think a pool game would be a really, really good physics one to have students implement. I don't know how interested they'd be in that. And maybe I should start with a 2D physics game. I don't think it's super important to necessarily teach physics, just one of the things. Marbles, yeah. Marbles would be a good one. My heart was so set on doing Sky Roads. Part of me wants to just finish Sky Roads. My heart is... So here's what we might do. We might say, okay, we're going to implement a 3D game, right? Oh, my deadline's not till after April. So we won't be doing this project until April. So I have a lot of time. I have a lot of time. So like there's no reason that there's no stress. There's just a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of disappointment in my heart. Let's say that. There's a lot of disappointment in my heart that this isn't sort of where I was going with it. Yeah, so that's really what it comes down to, is like, this is not a physics-based game, right? Yes, Mab, absolutely. So I think what I might do is so I don't think it's going to be very fun for people to watch me read a book on stream, right? So I think what we might do is we might actually just finish Sky Roads here and say, okay, this is not a physics-based game. We might finish Sky Roads and say it's not a physics-based game. And then it's sort of this lessons learned on doing 3D stuff, right? Working with 3D and still working with velocities and that sort of stuff, but not necessarily using the Unity physics engine. But I need to really, really research if I want to do a physics game. Exactly, G. Most games don't use like a full-blown physics engine. It's some sort of version of physics, right? Yeah, so I'm actually teaching, we have a class about narrative physics at my school. And so one of the things that I think would be really, really good is just have students implement like a physics object. So it's sort of like have physics going on and in a scene. So it's more of like setting up some sort of what are they called? Exactly. So I don't necessarily think making a physics-based game makes sense. Using some of the physics for collision and whatnot. So I think that's exactly what I want. So physics would be really nice for like if I'm colliding into something and then like I want pieces to go flying off like crashing into something. You have pieces go flying. Then that would be a nice way of using physics. This game is clearly not a good place to use it. The jump is a kind of a good thing. So like the jump is using their physics, so that's kind of a good thing. It's like, oh well, we don't want to have to figure out and calculate all the math for how the jump works. We're just gonna say, oh, we're just gonna apply a force and let gravity work for us. Like the jump is using the physics, and that works pretty nice. But instead work on like, okay, well, we're doing collisions and stuff. So I don't think this is going to be a physics-based game. Instead, it's going to be a 3D game. And there's so much to learn just from that I think it's okay to not have the physics. But instead, I need to do, I do think it'd be cool to learn about the physics engine. But I need to learn about the physics engine first, right? Before I can even understand, okay, where are the good spots to do physics? I think I was getting ahead of myself in that regard, and it really, really showed today. It really, really showed today, and I think that's a really good lesson learned. So I'm really, really happy to say that we learned that lesson. And so they're definitely going to ask about physics, absolutely. So I need to spend some time myself really reading about and understanding it and implementing some stuff on my own time to better understand. And I think, like I said, I think it's fine to make a Skyroads clone. Yes, exactly. I think what I want to do is read about, like, actually go and play some physics-based games and really understand it myself of, like, where would be a good application to it. Part of me feels like a game, so like Marble Madness or Super Monkey Ball is what come to mind as like these really, really awkward, like not awkward, but like challenging games that use a physics engine to do that. Marble Madness is fake physics, right? But Monkey Ball is essentially like the 3D version of Marble Madness. I think a pool game would be a great place to show physics, but a pool game, I don't think that's the most exciting thing for students, but that really is a physics game, right? So students are absolutely going to ask about physics, but I don't think Skyroads is a physics game. And with that in mind, we're gonna continue working on Skyroads here, but not necessarily make it a physics-based game. We'll implement some of our own stuff. We still want to use. So here's what's cool. Maybe not cool, but interesting. We still want to use fixed update, right? Because we're using physics' velocities, and we are kind of using the physics engine to like move things around in space, but we're doing it in a way that is defying the physics. And so I think that's okay. I think it's okay to do that. All right, so let's see if we can continue here. But it's good. So anyway, my thought here is this is not going to be a physics game. Exactly, G. I can still use accelerations and velocities and all those things. I'm just not using Unity's physics engine to do those things for me. Instead, I'm sort of having my own velocity, acceleration, and using that. And so the question sort of becomes, all right, so how are we going to fake it? So when my ship's coming into this thing here on the left, we need to say, okay, well, we don't want our ship to actually collide into this thing, right? So we need to make our ship, when it's hitting something from the left, when we try to move left, if something's there, instead of moving left, we actually slow ourselves down, right? So that's sort of where we're at with it, I think. So in this case, when we go to handle steering, right? when we go to move to the left or to the right, we sort of have to check, hey, is there something in my way there? Is there something nearby me that I need to do? So I'd have to do a ray cast. So I won't actually ever collide with it. I'll have some space. I won't actually ever collide with it. Similar to how we're doing this ray cast here for jumping. We can do a ray cast on left and right. So yeah, we have 7 lanes. That's just like Sky Roads, right? And so I want to actually make like an ASCII map creator as well. It's fine. It's 5, 5, 7. You know, there's no real difference there. But you know, we sort of have to say, okay, well, when I try and move into something to my right, I shouldn't be allowed to, you know, my velocity to my right just essentially goes to 0. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that here. We're going to add a ray cast that checks whether or not we're moving into something on our left or our right. And it will look a lot like this. All right. So raycast, this is going to be dot right times our steer direction. And this is gonna be is obstacle to side. I'm gonna say if there is an obstacle to the side, ooh, a runner game sounds pretty cool too. In a lot of ways, Sky Roads is kind of like a runner game. So my students have actually played okay, so here's a thought. Maybe a project I have for them that's, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna focus here on this project. My students love the Flipping Quick game. The Flipping Quick game I made. Sky Roads is basically a runner game. Absolutely. It's just like, you have a little bit more freedoms than a runner game, perhaps. It's hard to say because I don't know. Yes, it's essentially a runner game. If obstacles to side, our steer direction is equal to 0. I was a master of the Subway Surfer, then the game lost all my progress and I quit. That would hurt. That would hurt so bad. Let's draw this onto the screen as well. Right. Times steer direction times. Might have to change this from a find ground distance for going left and right. Maybe not. All right, so it's 2. Oh, that only fires when you press it? Handle steering input. Of course, Sky Roads is at least 20 years old, older than Subway Surfer, but I think kids these days know more about Subway Surfer and Temple Run than Sky Roads. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. But I want to make Sky Roads. This is for me. Interesting here. Should this be in our fixed update? We're gonna add a method: private float get steering velocity. All right. So it's essentially this. We want to check if we were to move that direction into a platform. Our tunnel isn't on the platform tag, I think, is what's happening. Oh, it is on the layer platform. Okay. Fixed. Let's have this be just for 2.5. We're gonna ray cast in our steering velocity. And if that's the case, steering velocity goes to 0. Okay. Oh, it's way too much. Okay, so we need to have the distance. All right. Shaurya, sorry for pronouncing it wrong, but hello, happy Monday, happy Tuesday, my friend. Welcome aboard. We are trying to write. We're trying to learn a little bit. Trying to learn how. We're making a little space platformer type game. But yeah, happy Tuesday. Welcome aboard. How are you? And please correct me on my pronunciation. I apologize that it was so poor. This was going to be our find obstacle distance. Try point 2. That's Joker. Welcome back, my friend. Happy Tuesday. How are you today? This was our find obstacle distance. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm doing well. Well, Bio, welcome back. I'm glad you had it open. Priam18, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for the follow. As always, feel free to ask questions. Happy to entertain any questions you might have. I'm a computer science teacher, programmer. I love trying to answer questions, so don't hesitate to ask. Steering velocity times right. It should be times find obstacle distance. This is our steer direction. There we go. This should be better. But yeah, welcome aboard. Happy to have you here. What did we do after? All right, so we have... That's interesting. Right, times steer direction as well. Yeah, Rave. We decided, had to run another cat line. Exhausted. That sounds exhausting. Running landlines can be really exhausting. We decided that Skyroads is not a physics-based game. It has some minor physics elements to it. For example, the jump, we might add something that you hit and they go offline. But we decided that Captain Coder needs to read more about physics in general, and that Skyroads isn't a physics-based game. And instead, if I want to do a physics-based project, I need to do a different game. This game is not a physics-based game. So the idea was maybe pool, maybe some kind of Marble Madness type thing. I think pool is a good one, but having students start with this being non-physics and then adding some physics stuff in there. For example, we might add in some things that if you hit, they go flying off the screen, and use physics to show, oh, we can apply force and it causes things to go scattering about. But this is not a physics-based game. We can utilize some of the things. Well, we got stream elements points, Bio. Yeah, there are no channel points here because if you do have points, all right, so if you do points, you can see how many points you've accumulated. We do have points. I know it's not the same. But there's also no ads. There's no ads. And I can cross stream to YouTube. All right. They're not the same. I agree. Okay. So what are we doing though? I needed to increase this to my font. Let's serialize that. Created a point frenzy here. Mooniz is here to brag about his points, his pointage. All right. I think I have this backwards. All right, so now we prevent ourselves from slowing down. Is that true? Yeah. So we should be able to. All right, so we can glide across things on the left and right. Wish there was Bone Lab in there. I'm not sure what that means. What is Bone Lab? And that said, but I don't know if you know, but you can also redeem the points as you accumulate them. I need to come up with some better things to put in the store that are a little bit cheap isn't the right word, but cost fewer points. Let's see here. We have. Oh, gotcha. So in our fixed update, you can get rid of this draw ray here. And if there is an obstacle, we're basically going to reduce our speed a little bit. All right, speed. We're just going to actually call it decelerate. It'll force us to decelerate. Interesting. Can't quite do that. We'll still this. Pirating Bone Lab. I can either. I'm going to say that I'm not allowed to condone pirating, but you can do what you do, and I can't stop you. As long as you're not promoting pirating in the stream, I'm cool with that, I think. I just don't want to... Yes, you can look at all my board games. Okay, so cool. Yeah, go. Feel free to browse the store. That's why I put it there. Yeah, I have played it. There's also a card game for Game of Thrones. Okay, so we have this fake physics here working. Our speed, we are decelerating a little bit too fast here. Faster than I would like to decelerate. This should be part of fixed delta time. There's a couple different Game of Thrones board games. I don't own it. Well, actually, I do own it. I just don't have it here. It's actually in my childhood home. I have a closet full of games there. Bio needs 1,600 points. You're almost there. You're at 1,000. You're almost there. All right, let's try that. Oh, you need 1,600 more. I see. There we go. All right. So we got this sort of reasonable slowdown here. Okay, that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. Let's make our cube here a little bit longer so we have more time to... Let's make it 50. Oh, need to get to 1600. Gotcha. Well, you're almost there. You're more than halfway there. All right, so we have this slowdown now that we've added here. So this is too big. This cube is way too tall. Put it at 0, see if that looks good. All right, I think we got it. I think we got... Our perspective's a little bit funky, but we can... The friction gets applied nicely now. And it's not real friction, our fake friction gets applied. Okay, I like that. Come down here, we're gonna get rid of this. Okay, our fake friction is working. I feel like the camera's not right still. I feel like the camera's not quite right. When we go through tunnel, when we come up to this, I want this to be taller. I think our camera, let's look at what Skyroads looks like. What is the camera doing that is better here than in mine? I do think it is related to field of view. Is it really field of view just needs to be better? Field of view, let's try field of view 100, but our distance not so far. Ooh, that's awkward. No, I don't like that. Is it that we need to be higher and more tilted? Ah, that might be what it is. That might be what it is. That feels all right. And now our yeah, I think that's it. All right, so let's make we're gonna make it higher. Let us set the player, so where's the player? 3. So our camera should be at 0, 1-ish. Let's actually set our player Z to 2, so this is easy for us to calculate. Minus 1.5. And then I was rotating it down to 30. Distance 2.5. Let's see what this looks like. Interesting. Okay. So definitely want it to be up higher looking down there. Did I crash? Now we got all sorts of weird things happening. Go through the tunnel. I crash still. Oh, something's gone wrong with my crash. Ship nose, on nose collision, we explode. Interesting. Turn off gizmo here. We no longer are... What did I change? One sec. Debug. Illuminati says, yo, I'm coding 2 at the moment. Tried to use ChatGPT as my assistant, but it made me crazy in the beginning. The player controller didn't really work. Yeah, ChatGPT, it can generate some interesting stuff. But Illuminati, happy to have you back. Happy Tuesday, my friend. How are you? Did you end up reworking it yourself, or are you just massaging it out to be... So we're not ending up in our nose collider. Interesting that the nose collider is not triggering. The ship nose somehow got untagged. And so it wasn't triggering there. I don't know how it got untagged, but I untagged it. There we go. Now we can despawn. All right, if we fall off the edge, we die. This looks reasonable. I feel like, what if I set this to 60? Is this still reasonable at 60? Yeah, 60 feels good. Let's go with 60. Illuminati says, I talked to chat for 1 hour about this, but I have to do everything by myself. Again, I'll definitely ask him though what I should do next. Yeah, ChatGPT, not always the best coding assistant. Can do some interesting stuff. Scott Husky, hello my friend, welcome aboard. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing this morning? Or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome aboard. We are trying to make a games in the vein of Skyroads. That's our main goal here. But yeah, I'm teaching computer science, programming. Feel free to ask any questions. Ask about why I'm doing something. I enjoy the questions. So welcome. All right, so we do have a bit of a drag there when we touch it on the side. Okay, cool. All right, I'm feeling much better about this. Now that I understand what I'm doing a little bit more. All right. My nose collision did happen there, which is interesting. Gotcha, in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, so happy morning to you. A happy morning. What brings you to Captain Coders Academy this morning? We're happy to have you, of course. Okay. I think it's time for a commit. All right. Just so I don't lose progress. I think it's time for a commit. Don't know all the details of what I did, but I know we added, I'm gonna call this a work in progress, add variety of new components. Explored tunnels. Yeah, this one's hard. Explored tunnels. Explored some physics. Oh, nice to hear, Scott. You're a game coder as well. Do you have any publications, anything on itch, in any games you'd like to promote? Anything interesting you'd like to share? We'd love to know. We're a lot of people here are game developers, amateur programmers, enjoying the learning process. How did I do the tunnel? So our very own, good question, Bio. Our very own Rave created this model for us. So we imported, we stretch it out. And then on the inside of the tunnel, I have this sort of collision that when I get into the tunnel, it sort of locks my motion. So I cannot move once I'm inside the tunnel. So I can slow down and accelerate, but I can't jump or move left and right. But Rave made us a little tunnel model here, which was very, very kind. Very, very kind and lovely. Explored some physics. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to check it out, Scott. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and sync that in here. Rave, absolutely, man. We got to get you some good stuff because I am not a Blenderite. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but I am not a Blenderite. And I know people would love to have some more tips on how to do stuff. It's especially Blender in combination with with Unity would be really, really cool. Because I think there's differences, right? In that regard. Okay, so one of the things. So what are our actual goals today? What are our actual goals today? We're not going to get any of these done. Le blendre. Yeah. Let's see if we can at least get the exit tunnel working, where if we get to the end of a tunnel, the game will say that you've won. All right. At the very least, let's get an exit tunnel. I don't know that I'm going to get any of these things, but let's get an exit tunnel working. So let's get an exit tunnel working. What's interesting with these is they seem to have like slightly different heights, which is really, really awkward. But let's go ahead. We are going to add a tunnel called exit tunnel to our prefab. So we're going to duplicate this tunnel, and this one's going to be called an exit tunnel. And when you go through it and get to the end, we're gonna add a different material to it, I think, as well. When you go through it, the on trigger and exit is actually going to trigger us to end the game. All right. So we need to add in. Oh, I guess I don't even need a new one of these, actually. Hang on. This shouldn't be too hard. This shouldn't be too hard. We're gonna say here, in our tunnel, script. All right, our tunnel script, tunnel controller, edit script. We're gonna add a event. So we're gonna add a Unity event using Unity engine.event. Good luck, Thumbert. Looking forward to seeing you back here if I'm still around. We're only going for another 20-ish minutes, and then I gotta hop off. I'm a little bit sick, so I'm trying not to push myself. I love the streaming, but I've been trying to take it a little bit easy until my throat's recovered fully. So I'll be hopping off in the next 20 minutes or so. So yeah, it's like I'm doing this on top of, as a person of education sector, anything I could do to not work 3 jobs is great. Commission wise, yeah, job plus everything else is rough. Unity engine, Rave, yeah, get some tutorials out there. I would love to promote them. On exit tunnel. So we're gonna make it so that way we can sort of Unity event here. We can register ourselves, say when we exit the tunnel, and we'll just have a little thing that says when we exit the tunnel, become, the game ends. On exit tunnel. And then when we actually exit, we do on exit tunnel dot invoke. So anyone who has registered to us, when we actually exit it, we'll get that back. And then we'll add in a little method to our player to handle, winning, right? So we'll have a little thing in here that says public void exits level. And for now, all exit level is going to do game object dot disable game object dot set active false. That's sort of, I think, what we'll do here. And I should be able to add in a new tunnel to our scene. We'll put a new tunnel sort of at the end here. So we're going to duplicate this. And then we're gonna set its, I think it's rotated some, but let's move it way down here to the end. Like so. And we'll do that. So when we exit this tunnel, that'll be the end of the level. So this specific tunnel, we'll add our player into it. And the player controller is going to call exit level. So let's see if we can do that. Let's shimmy this over a little bit. The whole tunnel. Put the tunnel off to the side. Okay, let's see if we can exit the level here. Okay, so that works. That works. We can trigger the exit the level like that. Cool. That was not so bad. Oh, so we've managed to add an exit level. We'll add in a like level cleared canvas. All right, so I'm gonna duplicate this. It's gonna be level cleared screen. Let's go look at that. It shouldn't say game over. Instead, this one says level cleared. And let's make that a little bit wider. That, and the text can stretch across, and we'll make the text centered like that. All right, so we'll get level cleared, and then we'll have a respawn there. Okay, let's try. Well, we got to make this actually show up. Hang on, real quick. We'll do a little bit fancier on it. We'll make it fade in, that sort of stuff as well. But on our platform tunnel, we will make it so level cleared. Get set to active when we get through the level. And there we go, level cleared. And you can respawn if you want. All right, so ideally this would bring us back sort of like the main menu. But we can clear the level. Okay, cool. All right, we managed to get something done on our to-do list today. All right. At least got one thing, implement a tunnel exit. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and check that off. Whew. We did it. It was a journey. It was a journey here. Thank you everyone for hanging out and watching the pain. Well, as a reward for everyone who's here, we made a lot of progress today. Hey, here's 200 points. Anyone who happens to be hanging out with us today, take those 200 points. Enjoy them. Enjoy them. It gets you a little bit closer. But we're gonna wrap up here. My brain's a little bit fried. I'm so sorry that I'm ending the stream earlier than I normally do. My brain's a little fried. I am a little sick, but happy to have had you all here this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, assuming my health continues to be good enough for it. I'll be back tomorrow, but I'm gonna hop off here for today. I appreciate everyone hanging out. It's been so much fun. It's been so much fun doing it. We're gonna find someone to raid, but thank you so much everyone for being here. It's been an absolute blast. Let's find someone to raid before I hop off here. But we'll be back tomorrow with some more Sky Roads. Some more Sky Roads. No, some more Sky Driver. Sky Driver. Let's find someone to raid here. No one. Any suggestions? Any suggestions for someone to raid? Maybe we'll do my normal go-tos are not currently online. So if there's any suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna find someone. See if someone's doing anything interesting here. Stick to Unity and game dev, I believe. Unity. Dev Spagus, maybe. All right, Dev Spagus. All right, Dev Spagus it is. Thank you for the recommendation. Here we go. All right, everyone. As always, keep coding, keep growing, keep developing those skills. And as always, you're welcome back anytime. Have yourself a beautiful Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is for you, and we'll see you next time.
But this is not it. This is just like an immediate decision that I want to take about some